The text says the worst of earnings are for a prostitute, the price of a dog, and the earnings of a cub. That's from the Prophet ﷺ hadith. So is it not allowed to charge for cubbing, which is basically hijama, for example? Are you allowed to do that? Well, keep in mind, back in the days, al-hijama was considered from al-a'mal, and it's not of a favorable professions or practices in terms of who uses it. So therefore, it's something shouldn't be charged money for. And that's what's supposed to be voluntarily. However, things change, because same situation was for muallim al-Quran, for example. The teacher of the Quran should not supposed to get money for that. The imam is not supposed to get money for that service and so on. But that was back in the days when there was Baytul Mal that was taking care of all these, professions and so forth. But then when things now become, of course, if you want me to start teaching the Quran or become an imam, I'm going to have to free myself. Just like Abu Bakr Siddiq, when the next day when he became the Khalifa of Rasulullah after the Prophet passed, the next day he was in the marketplace buying and selling because he wants to survive, he wants to keep money. Umar ibn Khattab said, "Where do you think you're going?" He goes, "To the marketplace." He said, "What are you going to do there?" So I'm going to, what I usually do, earn money for my family. He goes, No. We need you to free your time for us. We will assign for you this much money, like something reasonable. You stay home and take care of the ummah. So from this, the ulama, they say, if anybody is going to be freeing their time for the service of the jama'ah, of the amma, جاز له أن يأخذ من أموال العامة. You are allowed then to be paid for the service that you provide in that sense. So if somebody is going to be freeing their time to do hijama and so on, to care for the treatment of the people, then they are allowed to charge for that. I know some hajjamin, they don't really necessarily put a price. They say whatever you give, it's fine. Any gift you give, inshallah, it's fine. So therefore, basically, they depend on your generosity for that service. Are we allowed to consume some of these food color dyes that are made from bugs? What kind of bugs we're talking about here? No, some bugs are reasonable, such as, for example, locusts or grasshoppers. They eat them in the Arabian Peninsula. And I tried them once. They taste like shrimp, really. If you ever tried it or not. But we're talking about the big ones, the locusts, those who travel a long distance and they're big usually, not the grasshopper, the tiny little ones. There's nothing in there. But the other ones have some meat in them. So whether you boil it, whether you put it like a popcorn on the fire, and it pops really. So it depends. So if we're talking about something that we can compare it to locusts or grasshoppers, then it's okay. But if we're talking about animals that are, or bugs that are considered dirty or filthy or not clean, and they feed off also not grass but other bugs, then you should, in this case, stay away from it. Stay away from it, unless the chemical component of that color has completely transformed from its original source to the new component. This is called istihala in fiqh, which means transformation. So if the object transformed completely from its original chemical component to a new thing, then it's okay to use that, inshallah ta'ala. How do you know that? That's something you're going to have to investigate, the chemical process of how to create these colors. A question from a 10 years old, mashallah. So my daughter likes your Q&A. She was watching this lesson on buying and selling animals and asked, maybe this is not a nice question, but why are there so many rules in so many things? That's a very smart question. Why do you have so many rules? You see, I would say, imagine you're buying something valuable, a device or a machine, and then eventually they give you a manual. That manual, when you open it, there are things to do, things not to do. Why? Because if you don't follow the instructions, that machine is not going to work very well and it's not going to be satisfying to you. Similarly, as human beings, Allah created us and He sent us that manual, the Quran, and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, from which the ulama, they have taken those rules. Saying, hey, in order for you to function fully and stay healthy and stay strong and so on, you need to be careful. Don't eat this, you can eat that. This is good for you, this is not good for you. So we follow the manual in order for us to perform in the best way, inshallah ta'ala. But the most important thing is for us to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is it allowed to buy pet fish or parrot? Now we're going to go to the animal kingdom right now, I believe right now. The answer is yes. Yes, especially exotic ones where they're considered, for example, of unique and they have specific value, or wild ones that have values. It's different. Wallahu a'lam. So how are we allowed to pay for gasoline if it's ethanol and it is ethanol in alcohol? Well, it's not haram because it's ethanol. It's haram because it's intoxicating. So if you can drink gas before you die, come and talk to me, inshallah. Basically, it's only prohibited if it does that. And that's why next week, inshallah, hadith number 46, we're going to talk about this. For example, mouthwash. Doesn't have alcohol? Some people, they drink it to get buzzed, unfortunately. However, if they drink too much of it, what's going to happen to them before they get intoxicated? Probably going to die. They're going to get poisoned before they get that level of intoxication. So not everything that has made of alcohol is considered. However, to the point here, some scholars, they actually, as a matter of fact, they consider the prohibition because of the chemical component. And as a result, anything that has the same alcohol in its component and its actually in production would be considered haram. Like I know Shaykh al-Shanqiti, hafidhahullah ta'ala, in Medina, he considered the alcohol sprays to be considered khamr. And I heard him saying it clearly. He says, like, I don't understand how people allow themselves to spray khamr on themselves and then come to the masjid. I'm like, what? Khamr? SubhanAllah. We spent quite a good time away from these atur and these actually perfumes before the ulama argued about it, and eventually the most common opinion is that this is not the reason why it's prohibited. It's prohibited because of the intoxication. One of the sisters is asking, remember we talked about the journey? Don't pay attention to the distractions on the journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So she's asking, what if my husband is my distraction on the journey of making my heart more disciplined? Well, here's your challenge. And here's your test. So maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to refine your character in the best way possible through dealing with him. May Allah make it easy for you. May Allah guide him and guide his heart to be, inshallah ta'ala, the good companion for you on that journey, so that you both are together. And it's true. Unfortunately, sometimes that is true. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that in the Quran. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, inna min azwajikum radikum aduwwan lakum fahdharuhum. He says, subhanahu, you who believe, sometimes members of your family, your spouse, your children can be an enemy. Meaning it can be the distraction on that journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fahdharuhum, be aware of that. So it's very important for husband and wife to do what the Prophet ﷺ suggested, that we assist each other to worship Allah Azza wa Jalla. Like you wake up at night, you pray 2 rak'ah, and then you try to wake up your spouse. If they're not waking up, you kind of sprinkle or spray a little bit of water over their face to wake them up to salah. That's supposed to be the attitude between a husband and wife, not the other way around. So on the way to the masjid, neighbor dog came and licked the part of the clothes that I'm not sure where exactly it licked. Shall I need to go back home and change my clothes, or just wash the place where I'm sure of and continue the salah? If you know where the place is, you can wash that part and should be fine. And wash again once is okay. Because I know some people, they think it's 7 times. The 7 times actually is for utensils only, not for anything else. And even if it licks your hand, just wash your hands once, it should be fine, inshallah ta'ala. If you couldn't tell where the dog licked your clothes, then you're going to have to change it, because you're going to have to wash it all. So when alcohol is permitted due to intoxication, then the pig skin used for making ball, using it permitted as we are not consuming it. Well, we talked about this before actually. We said that tanning the skin of an animal that you don't eat is permissible. If you tan that, the skin becomes permissible to use, except the pig and the dog. Even if you tan the skins, it's not permissible to use because of the najasa of the asl of the animal itself. So all of it is prohibited. The skin, the fat, the bones, everything, and even including the hair, is all actually prohibited. Wallahu ta'ala. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum. Is it?